about what to do about it, if you will. So welcome again to the Texas REIAs. The Texas REIA is the largest network of real estate investor associations in the great state of Texas, with chapters in Austin, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. Over 150,000 members, participants, and attendees, going all the way back to 2003. They say if you have the slightest interest in real estate, the first thing to do is to join your local real estate investor association. The reason is because real estate is local. Okay, laws are local. Properties are local. Buyers and sellers are local. Houses are local. Power teams are local. There's 30,000 YouTube videos that talk about how to invest in real estate. They all talk about how to do it anywhere. Well, how to do it anywhere is how to do it at 30,000 feet. But real estate is not bought and sold at 30,000 feet. Real estate is bought and sold at 0 feet. So if you want to know what laws apply here, and which neighborhoods to invest in here, and where to get money and power teams here, that's what you get at your local real estate investor association. And my job is to make you all into educated and contributing members of this community. So welcome everybody again to the REIA. We are live in person and we are live online. If you are on GoToWebinar, you are live, so keep watching. If you are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitch, you may or may not be live, depending on when you're watching. But if you'd like to come to any of the many training events that are offered by this community, just go to flipping.com/events and get some training there. So let's talk about where to start. A lot of people, when they come to the REIA, ask the question, where should I get started? Because there's so many ways to invest in real estate. You can be a residential real estate investor, you can be a commercial real estate investor, you can be an active investor, you can be a passive investor. So which is the right place to be? And my answer would be yes. They're all great. There's no right or wrong. The question that I would ask myself, though, if I was getting started investing, is I would ask, what is the problem that I'm trying to solve? Because real estate can do a lot of things depending on what you need to get done. For example, if you told me, I want to quit my job, I want to replace my income, I want to make a 6-figure income, I want to do it relatively quickly, and I want to do it whether I have money or not, whether I have credit or not, that is my goal. Side hustle, new career, quit job, replace income, supplement income. If that's the problem that you're here to solve, I'm going to tell you, you should be flipping houses. There are many ways you can flip houses. You can do it with money, you can do it with other people's money, you can do it with no money. It's relatively fast, and it's pretty common and easy to make a 6-figure income as a real estate investor. So if that's the problem you're trying to solve, this is where you should probably get started. Now, if you tell me, no, that's not what I'm here for. What I really want to do is build my wealth. I want to retire wealthy. I want to be a multi-millionaire by the time I'm retired. I don't have an immediate need. I have a job, I'm good with that, but I just want to build long-term wealth. Then I would say, if that is the problem, you should buy rental properties. I love rental properties. I've been buying rental properties for 20 years. I now own $30 million worth of rental properties. Many of those properties over the last 20 years have doubled in value, doubled again. Some have even doubled a third time. And the tenants did something really nice. They paid off the mortgages for me, right? So now I have less than $5 million left of mortgages on a $30 million portfolio, and that just came from keeping some properties along my journey. So if you say that's my goal is to build wealth, then I'd say, yeah, you should be buying rental properties. In my opinion, everybody should buy rental properties. Everybody should buy rental properties. Now, if you say, no, that's not my problem. What my problem is I have money and I just want to make money with my money. I want to put my money into an investment as a passive investor. I want to double it. I don't want to have to do anything. I want something safer and higher return than the stock market. Well, if that's what you're here for, I'm going to say invest in commercial syndications. Commercial syndications, on average, are twice the return of the stock market, much less volatile, much less risk, on average, right? And if you put $50,000 into a commercial syndication, it's pretty typical you get $100,000 back, right? And you get to watch it get done, and you get paid to learn how the business works. The best way to learn commercial is just invest in commercial. You can invest with your money, your IRA's money, great place to double your money. And I got to tell you, financial planners hate commercial real estate. They hate it. If you have a financial planner, ask them, what do you think about investing in commercial real estate? They're going, oh, you don't want to do that. It's terrible, bad idea, bad idea. They hate it. And the reason they hate it is because once their clients learn about commercial syndications, they lose their clients. They never come back. Nobody ever goes back to the stock market after they start investing in commercial real estate. I haven't invested in the stock market for over 20 years, not anything, because I understand things that are higher return on average and lower risk. But then if you said, no, I'm here to make the big money. I want the big money. I want to make $1 million a deal. I want to make $2 million a year. I want to make $3 million a year. I want to do the multi-million-dollar deals. Then I'm going to say you should be sponsoring syndications. You should be buying these syndications, putting the deals together. You should be buying the 15, 20, 10, 50, whatever $1 million apartment complexes, storage, mobile homes. We do all that stuff. That's what you should be doing. So yeah, you can make $1 million or more doing a single deal as a syndication. You're using other people's money. It's great. Now, I will say these are typically 5-year deals. So it is big money, but it's not fast money. Okay, so yeah, you can make $1 million in a deal, but it's not going to be in a year, right? It's going to be in like 5 years, right? So, but you start now, and every year you do one, and then by 5 years from now, you got one coming in, going every year, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So those are the things real estate can do, and the question is, where are you? Because there's no right or wrong. Let's do a little poll of the audience. I have no idea what the answer is going to be. How many of you are here because you probably want to quit your job, supplement your income, flip houses, make some income pretty quickly? Who wants to make income pretty quickly? Okay, how many of you are here mostly because you want to buy rental properties? Mostly want to buy rental properties. Okay, a lot of rental properties. How many of you are here mostly because you have money and you want to invest your money passively in syndications? You got some of those. How many of you are here because you're ready to do syndications? Ready to do syndications. Got a few of those. Okay, interesting. Okay, well, it's all great. It's all great. Where do most people get started? Well, most people honestly start by flipping houses. That's where I got started. And then when you're flipping houses, you're going to keep some of them, okay? We're going to teach you exactly which ones to keep, by the way. One of the things we do at the workshop, we have heat maps. Nobody else in the world has them. We've literally pulled millions of records out of the MLS in all the major cities across the state of Texas. We can show you down to the street level exactly which neighborhoods to invest in and which neighborhoods to not invest in for rental properties. We can show you which neighborhoods are about to double in value and which ones are not going to double in value. And it sounds like magic, but when I explain it and you see these heat maps and you watch it, it's like this one, this one, this one. It moves in a wave across the city, and it's like, invest here now. It's really pretty amazing. And when you see it, you're going to be like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Nobody ever questions it. It's like, duh, it's so obvious once you know. But that's something that for you guys looking for rental properties is really cool. So most people flip houses when they get started, and then they keep the right ones as long-term rental properties. But then when you have more money than you need to pay your bills, you're going to want to do something with the extra money. You're going to want to invest it. You're going to want to invest it in something that has the highest possible return with the lowest risk. And once you understand commercial syndications, that'll be commercial syndications. And the truth is, once you invest in commercial syndications, you put 50 in, you get 100 back, you're going to watch your money make money, and you're going to really understand how the whole thing works while getting paid, right? Which is pretty awesome. So you just got paid $50,000 to learn how commercial works, and then you're going to want to go and do the commercial deals yourself. So that's the path that most people take, right? And again, in flipping.com and Texas REIAs, you know, we have training and resources, and we have a community of people that do all of these things. They're all awesome, right? So figure out where you want to get started and do that, and we can help. Now, for those of you that are in quadrant 1 and quadrant 2, which was most of the people in the room, let's start by talking about that. In quadrant 1 and quadrant 2, we have a dozen different strategies that it'll help you out. When it comes to flipping houses, there's 11 different ways to do it. Some take money, some take no money. Some you can use other people's money. And then there's buying and holding, but only buying the right ones. So we do something very unique. Not all rental properties should be bought as rental properties. And cash flow, people think it's all about cash flow. That's BS. I'm sorry, there's no cash flow, right? And I'm exaggerating for effect, but not by much. People think, oh, there's all this cash flow in rental properties. I have $30 million in rental properties. If you add up all the cash flow on a $30 million portfolio, what's left would not pay for a really nice watch that I own. It's just not significant, even though people think it's significant. It's like get $800 of cash flow on a rental property, which would be incredible if you could get it. Good luck with that. But they're like, oh, I'm making $800 a month, $800 a month, $800 a month. Boom, new air conditioner, $10,000. You just lost a year. Okay, I caught up, $800 a month, $800 a month, $800, oh, boom, right, make ready, 12 grand, lost another year. I got caught up, $800 a month, $800 a month, $800 a month, up, another problem, right? New roof, 8,000, right? You just lost another 10 months, right? And so that's the thing. You make a little, you lose a little, you make a little, you lose a little, and yeah, you can make a little bit, but not a lot. But you can get wealthy, right? You can make a lot of long-term appreciation. So let's get into these strategies. We're going to talk about where the market is and what's going on right now and what to do about it. And by the way, if you guys don't know me, my name's Phil Grove. I became a real estate investor on December 15, 2003. That's the day I did my first deal. It took me 6 months to do my first deal. I was kind of a slow starter, engineer, over-analytical, overthought everything. It took me 5 days to do my second deal. Within a few years, I was involved in hundreds of deals. Now I've negotiated over 1,200 deals. I got about $30 million in rental properties, so I'm very excited about that. Made a lot of money along the way. That's a nice thing about real estate. Once you get going, right, your second, third, fourth, and fifth deal combined not as hard as your first deal. It gets easier and easier. You scale it up, and you make a lot of money by doing a lot of deals. And I've actually taught over 100,000 people how to invest in real estate. I'll talk about that for a minute. I never had some plan to talk to anybody about anything when it came to real estate. I just wanted to become a real estate investor because I was tired of being an engineer. I wanted to work for myself. I didn't want to have a boss. That was my motivation. I joined this network 20 years ago, and I'm a creative real estate investor. You're going to see some creative stuff. So I kind of went from an electrical engineer to a transactional engineer. I'm very creative in transactions. And there's always new people coming to the REIA, so some of the new people would come to the REIA and they'd see me talking about all these deals I'm doing, and I'd have these new people kind of come up to me and say, hey, Phil, I'm new and I see you're doing this. Can I pick your brain? Can I take you to lunch? I'm like, well, I like eating lunch and I like talking about real estate, so yeah, sure, whatever. And I actually developed a reputation at the REIA as the guy you take to lunch to pick his brain and talk about real estate. I just kind of became that guy. But it got to the point where I was so much that guy that I was going to lunch with people like 3 or 4 days a week. And then finally my wife says, look, I don't mind you going to lunch with all these people. What I do mind is you're going to lunch for like 3 or 4 hours a day. Okay, you can't be going to lunch for 3 or 4 hours a day. You got to be working on our business, not everybody else's business. Why don't you just tell all these people that want to pick your brain, why don't we just sit them down and talk to them together, right? Because it would be way more efficient, right, to talk to 20 people at a time once and one person 20 times. So we started to do little classes just for the benefit of the network. We'll talk about that a little bit more as well. So these are some of the deals that I did that made me some money. I don't have time to go through them all, but I do a lot of deals and a lot of different kinds of deals. In fact, I do up to a real estate transaction a week in some shape, form, variety, or another. And what that does is it creates money in big chunks. Now that sounds good, money in big chunks, but I'm not here to sound good. What does this mean and how does this work? The way this business works fundamentally is as follows. We do things to find people with problems. So what kind of problems? They have a house they don't want, a mortgage they can't afford. Problems to entrepreneurs are what? Opportunities. Big problems are what? Big opportunities, right? Big opportunities. So if you're thinking like, I don't want any problems, you're thinking, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. All entrepreneurs have something in common with each other. They solve problems. They add value to the world by solving the world's problems. If you can solve big problems, the world will reward you, right, financially. We are real estate entrepreneurs, which means we're looking for real estate problems to solve. So let me give you some examples. I found somebody facing foreclosure, And I gave them a short sale. I helped them do a short sale. A short sale allowed them to sell their house without having to bring money to the table, without completely destroying their credit. And I made $16,000 helping somebody solve the problem. REO, real estate owned, bank-owned properties. Banks do not want to own real estate. They're not in the real estate business. So I took it off the bank's hands, solving the bank's problem. I flipped it, and I made $36,000. Got a guy that had a legal problem, had to sell a house by Friday. A realtor cannot sell your house by Friday. I can, okay? Wholesaled it, made $5,000. Got a property subject to my specialty, no money, no credit, flipped it, made $68,000, $5,600 on a little assignment, $6,000 on a small mortgage assignment, $10,000 on a wholesale, $2,800 on a small referral, $12,400 for a large referral. The way this business works is as follows. We do things to find people with problems, and here's the really beautiful part. For every different kind of problem that exists, we have a solution that helps people, is about helping people, solves their need, and gets us paid. We can help motivated sellers, we can help non-motivated sellers, we can help people that own their houses free and clear, we can help people that are hopelessly underwater, where they owe more money than the house is worth. Right? Sometimes I work on a lead, a deal, an opportunity, a problem for 6 months, and after 6 months, I make $5,000. And I'm like, oh man, 6 months, $5,000. I could have made more money working at Walmart. Thank goodness I'm not working on just one lead at a time. Sometimes my phone rings, and that phone call makes me $55,000 in 48 hours. I'm like, oh man, I wish every time my phone rang, I made $55,000 in 48 hours. But that's not how it works either. That's maybe 1 in 100 phone calls. So the question is, how often do you get 100 phone calls? Well, that depends on you and how much marketing that you do, how much looking at deals that you do. Do you get 100 phone calls a week? Do you get 100 phone calls a month? Do you get 100 phone calls a year? Well, that depends on you and how much marketing that you do. So there's 2 essential skills we have to learn to be a real estate investor, and I'm going to teach you these skills right now. The first and foremost skill is marketing. Marketing is finding deals, generating leads. Leads are the lifeblood of your business. A lead is nothing more than the name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. You need to spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for deals, outsource everything else. The next skill we have to learn is strategy. Strategy is doing deals. It's solving the problem. It's the solution to the problem, okay? We use a dozen different strategies to solve the problem, help people, and get ourselves paid. So marketing and strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, solving problems. So I'm going to teach you 65 methods of finding off-market wholesale real estate, because we buy off-market. I'm going to teach you a dozen different strategies that help people solve their needs, solve their problem, and get yourself paid. Over half of the marketing methods, by the way, are completely free. And 9 of the 12 investing strategies are actually no money and no credit strategies. And when you learn how to buy houses with no money and with no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them. How many would you like to buy? All of them. That's the right answer. So if I shout out a question, you shout back all of them, you're probably going to get it right, just so you know. So marketing and strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, solving problems. Let's get started with the marketing. Actually, first I'm going to tell you a really quick story. This was my very first deal. This was the very first house that I flipped on December 15, 2003. But I'll tell you a little story. On December 14th, 2003, I was scared to death. I was actually being coached and mentored by the 2 guys who ran the REIA back then. I called them both on the phone on December 14, 2003. I'm scared. Are you sure this is going to work? I don't want to lose any money. Yeah, it took 2 seasoned, experienced real estate investors pulling me, kicking and screaming over the starting blocks to get me to do that very first deal. So if you're scared, I get it, I can relate, and I can help. But I had one other thing that was also motivating me to take action. I was in a job I no longer loved, okay? And I got to tell you, I couldn't do it anymore. In other words, I needed to do something different with my life plan. That's what motivated me to really take action. I needed a different life. And I got to tell you, you got one life. You get one life. And it just flies by. My wife and I recently had a baby boy. Thank you. And this last weekend, I noticed there was this 15-year-old running around in my house, taller than me. It's like, what happened? He was a baby, he's taller than me. I mean, it's like something, it's like the last 15 years, just what happened? They just disappeared, just like that. And if you're not on a trajectory to getting the life that you want, maybe now would be a good time to change the trajectory. Olivia was up here talking earlier. We sponsor a show, the Flipping Show, where we literally interview people in this room, in this network, that are now typically millionaires or multimillionaires, right? Directly from being part of this community and getting trained here. I don't know any other community in the world that can point to somebody on a weekly basis, millionaire, millionaire, millionaire. We can. We're very proud of that. And she always asks every one of them, what is your single biggest regret? And it's always exactly the same answer. What will every millionaire, multimillionaire real estate investor on the planet Earth tell you their biggest regret is what? Not started sooner. You know, I wish I started sooner. Yeah. So like now would be good. When's the best time to plant a tree? Now. No, 20 years ago. Oh. When's the second best time to plant a tree? That would be now. So let's go back to the audience. How many of you think houses are kind of expensive right now? Raise your hand if you think houses are kind of expensive right now. Who thinks houses are cheap right now? Okay, this is where I think they're super cheap. I can't believe how cheap houses are. They are giving them away. It is unbelievable how cheap these houses are. It's crazy how cheap they are. And if you don't believe me, I want you to have a quick conversation, okay? I want you to go talk to future you. Talk to you 20 years from now and ask that future you to give you advice. You know what that future you is going to tell you? Oh my God, back in 2024, you could buy a house in Dallas for less than $1 million, less than $2 million. I can't believe it. When I started buying houses 20 years ago, right? You know how cheap most of the houses I bought, I was buying them for like $140,000. Now they're worth like $500,000. Whatever you think houses are today, 20 years from now, you're going to look at today, and it's going to be exactly the same thing as today looking 20 years ago. The exact same thing. You can't go back. You go forward. But like now would be good. I have one big regret 20 years ago. I wish I bought them all. My biggest mistake I made as a real estate investor, I didn't buy more. I should have bought everything. Because over 20 years, man, they doubled again, and some of them doubled a third time. The worst ones only doubled 1.5 times, right? The best ones doubled almost 4 times. I made money on all of them over 20 years, and the tenants paid off the mortgages. Thank you very much, tenants. Right? So yeah, maybe it's a good time to change your trajectory. So, my first deal. Your first deal, by the way, is your most important deal. It's kind of like your first kiss. Everybody remembers their first kiss, right? Life-changing experience. Everybody remembers their first deal, life-changing experience. Let me tell you about my first deal. It took me 6 months to find my first deal. I was actually a very slow starter. I got it under contract with a contract I got right here at the REIA. I bought it using OPM. What is that? Other people's money. We have 1,000 private money lenders here at the REIA. I got a contractor here at the REIA to fix it. I got a realtor here at the REIA to sell it for me. I got an attorney and title company right here at the REIA to close it for me. And went to that very first closing. I got that very first check, $15,384.26. And do you know when they handed me that check, it was like you unscrewed the cap, popped out the old brain, popped in the new brain. Because right up until the moment they handed me that check, I was a real estate investor based on theory. And I wasn't sure I believed the theory. I don't know if this is going to work, not sure about this, don't know about this. But the second they handed me that check, like a switch flipping, I became a real estate investor based on experience. I didn't know anything different except I knew it actually worked. And what I realized when they handed me that check is if I did this and this and this again, I get another check. Worked the first time. And if I did this, this, and this again, I get another check. But the really big deal that I realized when they handed me that check, at that moment I realized that I would never, ever, 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 for the rest of my life, ever ever have to work for somebody else. Ever, 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 never, ever, ever, ever again. And I haven't worked even for 1 second for anybody else since they handed me that very first check. So if you're new and you're just getting started, here's my first piece of advice. You need to focus yourself like a laser beam on that very first deal, because that very first deal will change your life. Deals 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 combined, not as hard as deal number 1. So I told you I was going to tell you what I did right. I'm also going to tell you what I did wrong. I did make one big rookie mistake that every rookie makes. I spent all that time finding the deal. I found the deal. As soon as I found the deal, I kind of put my marketing on hold. I picked up a hammer. I managed some contractors. I worked on that deal. I finished that deal. I got that check, only to wake up the next day. And when I woke up the next day, I realized I had absolutely nothing to do. Well, except start the whole business all over again. And this gets me to my very first takeaway. And here it is, and this is the big one. This is the whole shooting match right here. The business of being a real estate investor is the business of finding deals. It's all about finding deals. Why? Because you make the money on the buy. What does that mean? As soon as you find a property and get under contract, whatever money was going to be made or not made, it's done right at that moment. Yeah, you get the money at the end on the sell, but you make the money on the buy. And once you realize that, you should realize you always have to spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal, because the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. And hint, the deals you are looking for are not in the MLS. The MLS is the multiple listing service. It's the retail market for real estate. It's where realtors sell real estate. It's where all the people in the world compete with each other to see who will pay the most. And I hate to say it, but when you're competing against all the people in the world, some of those people are stupid. And you don't want to compete against stupid. Well, you don't want to win competing against stupid. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I love the MLS. I adore the MLS. Why do I love and adore the MLS? Because after I buy off-market wholesale real estate, where do I then want to go to resell it? Yeah, on the MLS, because it's been proven that any property sold at the MLS will sell for the most that it can be possibly sell for. Of course you should sell your property at the MLS, but that's never where you're going to find heavily discounted wholesale real estate. The very best deal in the entire MLS would rarely be a deal, right, that an investor would even take a second look at. So, finding deals. Once I realize, and this is the rookie mistake, all the rookies make this. They do a deal, right, and they stop the marketing. They reset the marketing. Right? They finally get it going again. They find a deal. They do a deal. They make some money. Great. But they stop the marketing. They work on the deal. They reset the marketing. Right? They do a deal. They make some money. Great. And they reset the marketing. Their income goes up and down with big gaps in between. You need your income to go up, 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 up. And the only way that you get that is you always have to keep the pipeline filled with deals. And the way you do that is you always spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal, because the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. Okay. So, and then that gets us to our very first takeaway, and this is the big one. The business of being a real estate investor is a business of finding deals, and once I realized that, I started to systematize the process of finding deals. And over time, I developed 65 different methods. We're going to talk about these methods for finding off-market deals. Now, it's not really fair and accurate to say I developed 65 methods. What would be more accurate is to say I found 65 things that work, and I started to do those things. In fact, I need to teach you all a really important lesson, maybe the most important lesson I'm going to teach you today. But for me to teach you this next lesson, first I need to unteach you all something. So I'm going to unteach you all something. When you guys were in elementary school, if you looked over the paper next to you and you copied down the answers, that was called what? Cheating. And you were all told that cheating is what? Bad, wrong. Okay. Get some mixed answers there. Yeah, okay. Here's the thing, guys. I'm gonna agree with you. We're not little kids anymore. We're not in elementary school. Going forward, I need you all to unlearn that. Because going forward, guess what? Yeah, cheating is actually the shortcut. Yes, you're correct. What am I saying up here? What I'm trying to say is simple. There's nothing that you are trying to do. There's absolutely nothing that you are trying to figure out that I and other people haven't already done and figured out? Everything. And I mean everything. And I mean absolutely every minuscule detail of everything about this business has been completely figured out. We know what's in the soil. We know the zoning. We know the guys that write the zoning. We know the appreciation rate down to the street level across all the major cities across the state of Texas. We know the exact letters to send to the exact marketing list. We know the exact offers to make. We know the exact words to say. We know exactly what objections we're going to get. We know exactly how to overcome the objections. We even know, on average, how many contracts we're going to get signed for every 20,000 letters that we send out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. And once I realized everything I was trying to do and everything I was trying to figure out, other people had actually done and figured out, I stopped trying to figure everything out, and I just started to, here's this word, copy, right? Copy the 65 tested proven ways to actually do this. Now, some of these methods that I'm going to teach you take time, and some of them take money. When you get started, you probably have more time and less money. Once you get going, you're going to have more money and less time. I will be honest with you. I don't spend any time anymore on marketing. I outsource 100%. But when you're getting started, you're going to insource more. So what are all these different marketing methods? Well, let me teach you a whole bunch. All right? The first set of strategies has to do with marketing lists. Sometimes these are called mailing lists. What do you do with a mailing list? Well, you can send them mail, like letters and postcards. Or you can call them, or you can text them, or you can have a voicemail dropped into their voicemail box even without calling them. Or you can knock on their door. Or you can use an AI-powered chat bot to negotiate and schedule appointments for you while you're sleeping. Or you can do a comment, that's what I do, right? Olivia talked about that a little bit earlier. Or you can do a combination of all those things, which is called a multi-touch campaign. So yeah, you can completely automate this, you can outsource this, you can do it yourself. There's many different ways. So what are some of the popular marketing lists? Well, you can get a list of people that did not pay their property taxes, people that are late paying their mortgage, 30, 60, or 90 days late paying their mortgage, people that have filed for divorce. Two people were combining their income to pay a mortgage. Now one of them's gone. Well, the one that's left is probably having trouble paying the mortgage by themselves. You can get a list of people who've inherited a house from somebody that passed away, people whose credit scores are starting to fall, people that just got dismissed from bankruptcy, certainly a lot of financial distress there. You can get a non-owner occupied list. This is a list of people that own a house where they don't live in the house they own. Well, technically they are landlords, and a lot of them are accidental landlords. They couldn't sell the house, so they rented the house. Or they let an ex-spouse or family member, or friend or neighbor stay in a house, or they inherited a house with a tenant in it. They didn't really plan on being a landlord. They don't know how to be a landlord, and very, very often they eventually become motivated sellers. You can get a list of people who rent to people on public assistance. You can get a code enforcement list. Do you know the city is already driving around issuing citations for abandoned houses, hoarder houses, deferred maintenance houses? Do you know you can get the city to give you a list of every problem property in the city? You can even get an expired listing list. This is a list of people that hired a realtor, tried for a long time to sell the house, and it didn't sell. So what do we know about these people? We know 100% of these people would like to sell their house, probably now more than ever. But they probably need solutions that realtors don't offer. Hello, that's exactly what investors do offer. So if you send letters and postcards, chat messages, or other things to these lists of people with problems, some of them will call you back. Did you have another question on that?
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you find these people?
So you find these people from list brokers, okay? Olivia told you about Flipping Pro, for example. Flipping Pro sells marketing lists. So you can actually go to Flipping Pro. We'll put that QR code up later, and you can buy these lists, right? And then you can do marketing to the list, or use the AI to do the marketing for the list, or hire virtual assistants to do the marketing to the list, or you can do the marketing to the list. But all these lists come from what are called list brokers. So yeah, with a website, you can get leads on the internet, bayonet signs, little plastic signs. See them along on the side of the road. We buy houses. Why do you see those signs? Obviously, they work. Online ads work. Email autoresponders, magnetic signs. Buy a little sign you put on the side of your car, you get leads for the rest of your life. Door hangers. You don't want to pay postage. Okay, for 10 cents a door, you can have a door hanger, door flyer put on every door in a neighborhood. Here's one that's pretty much free, driving for dollars. Sometimes I'm just driving around and I see a tarp on a roof. They might as well be waving a big red flag. Desperate motivated seller, please buy my house. I mean, think about this. Somebody's most valuable asset, a house, has a serious problem, right? A leak. And their solution was to do what? To go buy a $5 tarp at Home Depot. How come they didn't fix the roof? No money. Same guy not fixing the roof, not paying his mortgage, not paying his taxes, not paying his insurance. Sooner or later, an investor is going to pick up that deal. All right, what are the other marketing methods? Oh, wait, we interrupt this program for a special announcement. Actually, I made this announcement, but I'll do it quick. We have some training coming up. I teach this workshop by myself, by the way. I teach the whole thing. I literally talk for 10 hours a day. I get a kick out of teaching people how this stuff works. I'm a very creative real estate investor. You're going to see that in a minute. We teach all 12 strategies, all 65 marketing campaigns. We teach the sales scripts. Let's talk about the sales scripts. Sales closes. Closes are literally the exact words you say to get somebody to accept your solution to their problem, your offer of their property. So for example, recently I found a woman in Texas that owned a beautiful house, and I said some magic words to this woman. And by simply saying these magic words, she gave me her house, a beautiful house. Had a lot of equity in it, didn't have to give her any money at all. She just gave me the house, here's the keys, here's the deed. Thank you for taking this beautiful house, right, because of these magic words. So who's feeling a little skeptical right now? Raise your hand if you're feeling a little skeptical right now. Who's not feeling skeptical? Seriously? Come on, what do I have to do to make you guys skeptical? Okay, we didn't all vote here, so I'm going to give you another chance. I just claimed, but by merely uttering magic words, I got somebody to just give me their beautiful house for no money at all, and even say thank you for taking it. Who's feeling skeptical right now? Wave your hand up in the air if you're feeling skeptical. Okay, I want you to feel skeptical. I'm baiting you to make you feel skeptical. So please stay skeptical, because in a couple of minutes, I'm actually going to demonstrate it. And the more skeptical you are right now, the more amazed you're going to be when I demonstrate this a couple of minutes from now. But those are the closes. I teach this experientially through storytelling. So it's a 3-day workshop, all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. We do it live and in person. We also simulcast, so you can attend on Zoom, or you can even go back and forth between live and Zoom. We also have a commercial workshop. Just how many of you are interested in commercial real estate? Just commercial? Okay, I'm on quite a bit. More on this side than on that side. Maybe I'm just talking on this side. So we kind of do it in part 1, part 2. Remember, we got phase 1, phase 2, we got phase 3, phase 4. So we usually take people through the residential, and then you can come to the commercial if that's something you want to do as well. They're all great. So that's something that we do. So we got class coming up in Dallas, Houston, and Austin on those dates and locations. It's the exact same class. The Austin class is not like for Austin. It just happens to be in Austin. So most people come live. You can attend online. But if the live date doesn't work, you can go to one of the other cities in person, and some people actually like to go to another city just to get away, or maybe you have family or whatever. That is completely up to you. Now, if none of these dates work, like if you have a conflict, for example, if your daughter is getting married, here's my advice. Cancel the wedding, okay? Because the most important thing that's going to change your life in a good way is coming to this. And it is going to be life-changing. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. But yeah, we'll hand out a little form shortly, and we'll get you guys signed up that want to come. For you guys online, we'll post a link online. Okay, let's get back to work. More marketing methods. Letters of intent. What is a letter of intent? A letter of intent is an offer, and the question is, who should you send an offer to? And the answer is everybody. So I'm going to give you all your first homework assignment. Tomorrow, I want each of you to send 300 people an offer on their house. I'm not kidding. You see, here's how investors think. Ready, fire, aim. You make the offer. and then you negotiate. You make the offer, and then you do your due diligence. You make the offer, and then you look for the money. You make the offer, and then, and only then, do you think about it. You should make everybody an offer. Why not? Do you know here in Texas, every time you make somebody an offer in their home, you know you get 4 different offers, 4 different options? You might want to write them down. Option number 1, you can buy a house because they might say yes. If you take 300 shots on goal, what do you think is going to happen? Something's going to go in, even if you suck. And with practice, what's going to happen? With practice, you don't suck as much, so more of them go in. Yeah, just make everybody an offer. So option number 1, you can buy a house. Option number 2, you can terminate the offer after you make it. You guys know this, right? The Texas state promulgated contract gives the buyer the unilateral right to just rip it up, terminate, walk away, no harm, no foul, no risk, no penalties, no cost. Option number 3, you can renegotiate the offer after you make it. Do you know that it's much, much, much easier to renegotiate than it is to negotiate? Especially when everybody that calls you back is saying they might want to sell, i.e. they want to negotiate. Option number 4, you can actually sell the contract to somebody else that has money. Notice only one of those 4 options even required you to come up with any money to buy a house. Just make offers. Give yourself options. Give yourself hundreds of chances at being lucky. People tell me all the time, Phil, you're the luckiest guy I know. I'm going to give you my secret. I give myself lots of chances at being lucky. Business cards, for sale by owner. Why would somebody try to sell their own house? Maybe they're lazy. Maybe they're crazy. Maybe they need solutions realtors don't offer. Why are there so many different marketing methods? Well, the question is, would you rather fish with a hook or would you rather fish with a net? And the answer is you need to learn to fish with a net. And the reason is because this business is a numbers game, and now I'm going to teach you the numbers. I'm going to teach you right now. I'm going to teach you something that took me 2 years of hard work to figure out. So I'm going to shave 2 years of your learning curve right now. By 2005, I'd been a real estate investor for 2 years. And I calculated in my first 2 years, I had generated about 400 leads. So lead is just a name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. So I was looking at a house every few days, and then I did the math. And here's what I discovered. As a rookie, on average, for every $100 I spent on paid marketing, things like direct mail, I got 1 qualified motivated seller lead. As a rookie, on average, for every 3 hours I spent on personal marketing, free stuff, like driving for dollars, I got 1 qualified motivated seller lead. And I also discovered that as a rookie, on average, for every 20 leads I got, this is as a rookie 20 years ago, for every 20 leads I got, I made at least $20,000 net profit on a deal. So now let me run the numbers for you. That means as a rookie, every time I drove around for 60 hours, I got at least 1 deal that made me at least $20,000. As a rookie, every time I sent out $2,000 in direct mail, I got 1 deal that made me at least $20,000. Spend $2,000, make 20. Spend $2,000, make 20. Spend $4,000, make 40. Spend $8,000, make 80. Spend $16,000, make 160. Spend $32,000 on your marketing. You don't have to spend it all at once, by the way. Make $320,000 net profit. Are you starting to like the numbers? It took me 2 years to figure that out. But after 2 years in the trenches, what I realized is, holy cow, this whole business is just a numbers game, and now I know the numbers. I started to think about this business in a completely different way after I figured this out. I now see my entire business, the whole thing, is just a little black box. And I'm going to call that little black box a marketing machine. And the way that little black box works, every time I stick $100 worth of marketing in one end, eventually $1,000 worth of net profit pops out the other end. So if you had a little black box, every time you shoved a $100 bill in one end, a $1,000 bill popped out the other end, how many dollars would you stick in the box? All of them. And I started spending money on marketing like a drunken sailor because I knew. I finally knew. And I started spending thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I started spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I hired 2 full-time, 6-figure guys that work to me to this day that spend 100% of their time spending my money on marketing. And now some months I spend as much as $100,000 a month on marketing. Because once you know it's just a numbers game, and once you know the numbers, you dial it in and then you dial it up. Once you dial it in, you just keep throwing money in until because every dollar you make 10, boom. You just dial it in and then you dial it up. Sometime later, I actually wrote a book on real estate investing. I'm not offering any books tonight. I don't do this anymore. I used to have a book that I used to offer. I don't do this anymore. And I've discovered there's actually a reason for this. I don't find books to be very helpful for real estate. Kind of a waste of time. You know, and the reason, I'll tell you why. Real estate's not that complicated. I went to engineering school. That was complicated. I had to take calculus, calculus 2, calculus 3. By the time I took calculus 3, I had to remember calculus 1 and 2. It was really complicated. I've never had to solve a differential equation to flip a house. It's not that complicated. But unlike engineering and calculus, it's a mile deep. Real estate's a mile wide. It's not complex, but there's a million details. Learning real estate is learning a language. It's not learning a skill. But you can't learn a language from reading a book. Go read 100 books on how to speak Spanish. You'll learn how to count to 10. That's about how far I got. There's only one way to learn Spanish. Go to Spain. You want to eat or go to the bathroom, you're going to learn some Spanish. And real estate's exactly the same thing. So I watched YouTube videos, waste of time. I read a bunch of books, waste of time. And then I joined my local real estate investor association and started to immerse myself and hearing things 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times, right? And then I started to pick it up, right? I started to get enough detail, right, to be able to do it myself. And that's how you become a real estate investor. So we're about to get into the last part of the presentation. We're going to talk about the strategies and the closes, arguably the most interesting part of the presentation. But before I do that, if you remember at the beginning of this presentation, I said my job is to make you educated and contributing members of this community. And we really want you to be educated and participatory. We have these meetings all over Texas. And we always have new people that come to the meetings. I see a lot of new faces here. And we call the new people tourists. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, honey, let's go check out the REIA. It's like, okay, great. Right? But we figured out a long time ago that nobody makes any money being a tourist. Right? We need people to be active. Buying, selling, partnering, lending, borrowing. That's where everybody starts to make money. But I also figured out a long time ago that unfortunately, I can't turn somebody into a real estate investor in 45 minutes. If I could figure out how to sprinkle pixie dust on everybody and turn them into real estate investors in 45 minutes, yeah, that would be awesome. I don't know how to do that, but I can, and I have, on numerous occasions, turned people into real estate investors over a period of 24 hours. Or maybe it would be more accurate to say 24 hours spread out over 3 days, giving us the time to get through all the nitty-gritty detail of how this works. And this is why we sponsor the Texas Flipping Real Estate Investing Workshop. This is Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas using strategies that work here, and you have to know how to do it here. We teach all 12 strategies, all 65 ways to find off-market, because we only buy off-market real estate. The closing scripts, which I'm about to demonstrate how to partner, which is a great way to get started, how to access 1,000 private money lenders. Thousands of the most successful investors in Texas have launched their careers at this workshop, The Real Deal, Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas. So come join us. We're going to be live and in person. We're going to be also online. And we're going to show you the heat maps down to the street level of exactly where properties are on the brink of doubling in value. We're going to explain why, and you're going to say, well, duh, that's so obvious. We're going to show you how to get off-market deals from outsourcing. I have Filipino virtual assistants. You can hire Filipinos that have a college degree for 10 cents on the dollar of what you pay Americans. And it's a great salary, so don't feel bad for them because they're doing really, really well on that. And Filipinos speak American English, so there's a great communication there. how to get paid for offering to renovate houses for free. Talk about an incredible offer that you can make an incredible amount of money with. How about how to get 3% mortgages? I hear this a lot. Man, I wish I got one of those 3% mortgages. There's a new loan product. You can get a 3% mortgage on a rental property. It requires no credit and no down payment. Sounds pretty amazing. I'll tell you what, I'll demonstrate that in just a couple of minutes. How about how to use AI? This is how I do it, to actually negotiate and schedule appointments. Call thousands of leads from a list that you get and schedule appointments with only the good ones, even while you're sleeping. How to use virtual assistants to do both commercial and residential negotiating for you. So all of this is going to be at the workshop, live and in person and online. Pick the location and date that works for you. So we got a form. Give me one of those forms. Can you hand out the forms? Yep. And can you guys hand out the forms on this side, and you hand out the forms on that side. So let me talk about the form. So if you'd like to come to the workshop, fill out the form and just pick the location that you want. The date that is stamped on here is day 1 of the 3 days of the workshop. And we'll hand out some forms so you can get signed up for those of you that would like to join us. Now I am going to give you a very soft pitch to go along with it. If you would like, you can also become a member of the Texas REIAs. They say if you have the slightest interest in real estate, this is something you should do. And membership has its privileges. If you become a member of the REIA, you get VIP priority seating at the workshop, which means you get a nice table and you get to sit up in the front of the room. We have VIP lunches and lunch sessions. So if you'd like to have lunch with me and some of my power team and get some extra help, come to the workshop as a VIP. You get access to our online network. Who would like to have 20,000 buyers on a buyer's list already handed and ready for you? Okay, we got that. Who would like to have access to 1,000 private money lenders? Could anybody use some money? Okay, we got that. Who's looking to put together a power team of the top plumbers and painters and contractors here in Texas? Okay, we got that. Well, you're definitely going to want to be able to be on that network. We have a Texas Money Resource Guide, a little training program, and we do special online events as well. So these are the membership benefits for being a member of the Texas REIAs. The Texas REIAs is the only organization in Texas that has professional paid lobbyists that lobby on behalf of real estate investors. We are protecting your rights. Just a few years ago, we got this close, folks, this close. The wraparound mortgage became this close to becoming illegal in Texas. If it was not for this organization and the tens of thousands of dollars we spent on lobbying, that bill would have been passed and you guys would not have that opportunity today. So support your local REIA. It is a one-time cost of $250, but I'll even give you a deal on that, and it's $100. So if you join the REIA, it is $100. And you get all these benefits and you get to support a really good cause. So when you fill out the form, just pick the event, let us know which date and location, whether you want to come live or online. If you come live, you can also go back and forth online if you need to. If you would like to also upgrade to REIA membership, you check the second box. You'll also get tickets to the commercial workshop as well. Oh, one other thing. Well, let me come back to that. So yeah, the form, let's talk about the form. Please fill out the form clearly. Circle the event you want. Austin, Dallas, Houston. They're all exactly the same event. They're just in different cities, so pick it by the date. Let us know if you want to come live or online. Attending the workshop is free. So we got a huge discount. And then let us know if you can join the REIA. The joining the REIA is $100. So it's free plus the REIA. If you join the REIA, it's $100. There's another little survey down at the bottom. We'll connect you with some local resources. Do you have a question about that?
Yes, sir. You might have mentioned this, but for the $100 Texas REIA membership, is that life thing?
It's a one-year membership. It's a one-year membership, yes. And we also have a really cool poster. Olivia, can you come up here for a minute? Do you have one of these posters? So I am an engineer, and I'm also an inventor. I've invented numerous things. I have AI-powered apps that I've developed to do analysis of the deals, follow up on deals. This thing here in the middle is actually a TV studio on wheels, believe it or not. There's a whole room full of equipment here. I've got AI-powered cameras that follow me around as I'm talking. And I want to show you something else I have that's kind of cool. So let me show you this. Put the right camera on here. And what is this? This is something I call the blueprint. So you can see this on the screen. You can also see this. I need to see if we can get you on camera. There we go. It's going for me. So sorry. You're going to have to come over here because my camera is smarter than I am. And it's trying to get us both. There we go. Okay. So what is this? Remember I said real estate's not that complicated. There's just a lot of details. So I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to put all the details on a blueprint? So these are the 273 things you need to know to be a real estate investor. And this is what happens when an engineer becomes a real estate investor. Okay, so we got all of the different investing strategies, all of the different marketing campaigns, all the different sales and negotiating scripts, all the different operations stuff like corporate structures and power teams, all the different financing strategies, all the different analysis and due diligence. This is what happens when an engineer becomes a real estate investor. Do we have some posters?
Yes, so fill it up the form if you wanted to be, spend more time with Phil and his power team. As a VIP at the 3-day workshop, I highly recommend. He did not give me the offer when I came to this workshop. You're going to see us in the back, and we're going to give your ticket and your blueprint. And you're going to become a VIP to the 20+ thousand people inside that network that he's talking about, the Facebook. That is amazing. So I'm there as well. Probably one way that you guys are going to be able to interact with us. So I highly recommend to be part of that group. So if you guys have any questions, do you still want to?
So Olivia, why should they become a member of the REIA?
Because I know you guys are going to get out of here with a lot of much more questions. How do I find the contract? How do I find the guy if I do find the deal? How do I find the deal if I don't? So that is where you're going to find out before the 3-day workshop. And even after the 3-day workshop, you're going to continue on that group because it's highly, there's a lot of things going on that group throughout the day. So a lot of people closing deals, money, and contractors and roofing, everything that you need is inside that group. So I highly recommend for you guys to be in that group and spend 3 days VIP with Phil and his power team. So I love that.
All right, well, thank you, appreciate that. And so, yeah, that's the deal. And fill out the form clearly. Please put your name in a legible way. Make sure you put your email in a legible way, or else somebody else is going to get your tickets. Write your phone number in a legible way. And then we'll get you guys processed. There's no hurry on the form. I'll take some more questions in a minute, I promise. But we got plenty of time. We'll collect the forms at the end. What I want to do now is I want to get into the last part of the presentation, which is where we're going to get into the strategies. So let's talk about the strategies. Okay. Yes, fill out the form. Okay. So we talked about marketing. Give that a check. And we're going to talk about strategies and how the deals are actually done. And people ask me all the time, where should I get started? What's the best strategy, right? Well, I'm going to answer that question right now because there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can do short sales. You can do buy and hold, mortgage assignments. You can do auction options, referrals. You can do wholesaling, contracts for deeds. You can do lease options, house swapping, wraparound mortgages. You can do equity partnering, and of course you can do fix and flip. And there's certainly, you can spend a lot of time and money on all that training and education. In fact, my wife and I have actually spent over $100,000 on training, coaching, seminars. Most of it was great. Some of it was not great. It all sounded great. But I don't feel bad about spending $100,000 on our education because we've made many millions of dollars from our education. But I do have a little pet peeve at how most people learn and how most people get taught all of these different strategies or how to invest in real estate. Because when you look at all of these strategies, here's the good news. They all work. All of these things can make you money investing in real estate. That's the good news. The bad news is that they each only work in unique situations. Each of these strategies should be thought of as the solution to a specific problem or situation. But remember what I said earlier, your job one is to find the deal. So here's a brand new investor hunting for a deal. And what is he doing? Well, he's hunting for a deal, and he does some marketing, gets a lead. What is a lead? The name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. Well, if the guy had gotten the right training, he would have learned how to help the seller solve their problem by doing something called a wraparound mortgage. But that's not the training he got. He just went to one of those wholesale seminars, and he learned how to do wholesaling. So he's looking for a wholesale deal. But he didn't find a wholesale deal. He found a wrap deal. But he didn't know how to do a wrap deal. So what is he going to do? He can't make money on that marketing. So we're going to generate another lead from some more marketing, and we're going to find another lead. And now if he only knew how to do a mortgage assignment, he could help somebody solve the problem, get himself paid. But he doesn't know how to do that because he just went to the wholesale seminar. He only learned how to do his wholesaling. So he does some more marketing now and generates yet another lead. And now if he only knew how to do an auction option, he could solve a big problem and get himself a big check, but he doesn't know how to do an auction option because, again, all he learned how to do is wholesaling, and he's still looking for a wholesale deal. Are you starting to see a problem? This is another common rookie mistake. There's 30,000 YouTube videos and books that teach people how to get started investing in real estate. And what most of that education says is you need to get started by learning one strategy, and this is the best strategy. No, this is the best strategy. No, this is the best strategy. Well, whatever. Learn a strategy, do a strategy, make money on that strategy. And then after you learn how to make money on that strategy, later on you can learn some other strategy. And it sounds pretty good, and it feels pretty good. But forgive my language when I say this, that is a completely ass-backwards way to go about this. Saying that you need to get started by learning one strategy, you need to make money on one strategy before you learn the other strategy, that's kind of like saying you need to go to Las Vegas and learn how to bet on one number on the roulette wheel, right? And after you make enough money betting over and over and over again on that one number on the roulette wheel, later on you can learn how the other numbers work. Well, that's ridiculous. Yet that's how 95% of real estate investors get started investing in real estate. And is it no surprise that 95% of real estate investors give up before they ever get going? And probably about 99% of wholesalers. So let's talk about wholesaling. There's nothing wrong with wholesaling. In fact, I would say it's probably the easiest strategy to teach. The problem, however, with wholesaling is that I would argue it's probably the hardest one to do that on average makes the least amount of money. So when somebody tells me, I have an idea, I want to get started by wholesaling, here's how my brain translates that plan. I want to do the hardest thing there is to do that makes the least amount of money. And I know from my experience that about 99 out of 100, maybe not 100 out of 100, but about 99 out of 100 people that execute that plan end up giving up before they ever get going. Because if you do something that's a lot of work that doesn't make a lot of money, you're probably going to give up before you ever get going. For example, how many of you have read the book, The Millionaire Wholesaler? That's because it's never been written. And it never will be written, because it's the hardest thing to do that makes the least amount of money. So I'm going to now teach you what the top 5% of investors do. And my advice, play to be in the top 5%, or don't bother, because they make all the money. So this is how I do it, and this is how I'm going to teach you how to do it. I bet on all of the numbers on the wheel, and then I spin the wheel a lot. What do I mean by I bet on all of the numbers on the wheel? I use all 12 strategies. Why not learn 12 ways to fill out a contract? Why not learn 12 ways to solve a problem? You spend time and money, it's called marketing, to get somebody with a problem to call you. Everybody that calls you wants something. What do they want? They want a solution to their problem. They want their needs satisfied. If you have a solution to every problem, if you know all 12 strategies, you have a solution to every problem. We can help motivated sellers, non-motivated sellers, free and clear underwater. Right? And then after you learn how to make money on every lead, then what do you do next? You spin the wheel a lot. You take a lot of shots on goal. You look at a lot of deals. You make a lot of offers. This is what the top 5% of investors do. Again, my advice, play to be in the top 5% or don't bother. So how do you do that? You got to know all the strategies. So let's teach you the strategies. Actually, let me first tell you a fun story. This was my first big deal. After I was a real estate investor for just over 2 years, I flipped this house. And I actually made $291,000, pretty good profit, flipping this house. But the more interesting part of the story is I was the 8th investor at bat. So what does that mean? 7 other real estate investors looked at this deal before me and passed on the deal. How is that possible? How could 7 different real estate investors pass on a deal, on an opportunity to make almost $300,000 profit on a deal? How's that even possible? I'm going to tell you it's not just possible, it's actually typical. Let me tell you the rest of the story. First investor walks into this house and said, I'd love to buy your house, but you're underwater. You owe more money than the house is worth. You can't even afford to sell me the house. Second investor walks into this house and said, I'd love to buy your house, but you're in bankruptcy. I can't buy a house from somebody in bankruptcy. Third investor walks into this house and says, well, I can help you avoid a foreclosure by doing something called a short sale, but I can't do that while you're in bankruptcy. Plus, you have a mid-construction project. I don't do mid-construction. I walked into this house and I said, my, oh my, oh my, you have a lot of big problems, don't you? Big problem means what? Big opportunity. You know, it took 1, 2, 3 different strategies to solve this guy's problem. I solved the problem. I got the check. My competition was a bunch of one-trick ponies. Most of my competitors are a bunch of one-trick ponies. 30,000 YouTube videos teach people how to be one-trick ponies. One-trick ponies are annoying, they get in the way at times, but they don't last long. Guys, if you think you're going to find pretty houses at big discounts just waiting for you hanging off of trees, yeah, you're smoking crack, okay? This is what opportunity looks like. A big bundle of problems with a nice pretty bow around it. I want a house where half the house burned down. I want a house that had a meth lab that exploded in the garage. I want a house that flooded. I want a house, right, that has mold. I want a house where someone was murdered in the living room. Oh, yeah. You can make a killing on a murder house. I own one. Stigma. Murder's not common, but stigma is. Let me give you a tip. What do you think it cost to buy a murder house? Anybody want to guess? Not much. 20 cents on the dollar. And if you buy a murder house for 20 cents on the dollar, you know what everybody says when they look at that house? They point at that house. That's a murder house. And a year later, they go and buy that house. They point at that house. Something bad happened at that house. And a year later, they're going by that house, and they kind of look around, and they're like, somewhere around here, something happened. And about 5 years later, they go by that house, and what do they say? How much? Stigmas go away. Somebody gets shot in a bar, it's a crime scene. A few years later, it's a tourist attraction. And there's all kinds of stigmas in real estate. I bought a house for $180. It's now worth $480. What did I do? Nothing. I just rented it out cheap to a guy that didn't mind living in a murder house. I gave him a deal. And then I just waited for the stigma to go away. The problems are opportunities, and that's the point. And big problems are big opportunities. We don't run from problems, we embrace problems. So we use marketing to find the problems. Everybody else is running, we're running at it. Ka-ching, right? And then we use strategies to solve the problem. So let me teach you a couple strategies. You've got a little time left, I'll teach you 2 strategies. The first strategy I'm going to teach you is wholesaling. Easiest one to teach, I'll teach you right now. How does this work? You simply find a property and get it under contract. How much does it cost to get a property under contract? Nothing. I think we can afford that. Now, after you get it under contract, you have what's called an equitable interest in the property. Instead of buying the property, you can sell your interest, you can sell your contract to another investor for a fee. How much is the fee? Well, it depends. $500 to $5,000 on a small deal, $10,000 to $25,000 on an average deal, $25,000 or more on a big deal. And this, my friends, is a no money and no risk strategy. I've discovered it's really hard to lose money when you're actually spending or investing any money. 9 of the strategies are no money strategies. This is one of the no money, no risk strategies. So let me tell you a story. When you come to the workshop, I teach experientially. What does that mean? I teach the theory, I teach the mechanics, but then I tell the stories. And when you come to the workshop, I'm probably going to tell you at least 100 different stories, because the stories are where it really starts to make sense. real people doing real deals with real examples, then you can say, I get it. So I'll tell you a story. This is Kimberly. She came to the workshop, and she did her first deal, and she told me about it after it went down. So this was the story. Her mom was visiting her from out of town. So she's in the car with her mom, and her mom's like, Kim, where are we going? Oh, well, Mom, we're going to get a house under contract. What? Kim, are you crazy? You just graduated from college. You don't have any money. You don't have any credit. You don't even have a job. What do you mean you're getting a house under contract? Don't worry, Mom. I know what I'm doing. So Kim's mom watched Kim walk into this house and offer the seller $265,000 cash for his house. And he signed a contract. Now, obviously, they talked on the phone ahead of time. Obviously, the guy was a motivated seller. Kim then took that contract and she posted it out to the network. You guys know we meet every minute of every day, 24/7, online. You know, over the last decade, the members of this community have posted their deals, questions, offers, contracts, resources, loan requests, referrals, whatever, back and forth over that network. All right, so Kim just posted the deal out to the network, and guess what? Several other members of the network wanted to buy that contract, that deal from Kim. And Kim ended up selling her contract to another member of the REIA for $17,000. So now Kim is a believer. Well, actually, Kim was a believer. Now Kim's mom is a believer. So what would Kim have done with the contract had nobody wanted to buy her contract? What would she have done with the contract? Right, ripped it up, terminate, no harm, no foul, no cost, no penalty. But she didn't need to, did she? So who bought the contract? Another member of the REIA by the name of Tatiana. I know Tatiana very well, good friend of mine. Tatiana paid Kim $17,000 for the contract. It then became Tatiana's contract. Okay, so Tatiana, right, crossed out Kim's name, wrote in her name, right, as a buyer, really her company's name, and then Tatiana, right, bought the property for $265,000 cash. She had the cash. She kept it for 6 months as a month-to-month rental. After the tenants moved out, she did a renovation, a small addition, and then when she sold it, she made almost $100,000 of net profit. That she only had to pay long-term capital gains taxes, no income taxes. Do you think Tatiana was pretty happy that Kim found that deal for her? What do you think? Yeah, you bet. So let's do a little poll of the audience. Let's see what we got here. By a show of hands, just out of curiosity, by a show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Wave your hand around if you're a cash buyer. All right, let me ask you a different question. How much cash do you have to make a cash offer? Zero. Everybody hear that? Well, then how much cash do you have to be a cash buyer? Zero. You don't have to have any cash to make a cash offer. You don't have to have any cash to be a cash buyer. You just need to know people with cash. Let me ask you another question. Does anybody here know somebody that you could call if you got a smoking hot deal to buy a property for a big discount for cash? Does anybody know such a person? For example, who? Yeah, what do you think I'm doing up here? Over here, guys. And in fairness, right, there's hundreds of guys just like me out on that network that would be pleased as punch if you guys got out there, got some contracts, got some properties under contract. You don't want it yourself, pitch it back to the group. That's why we want you. That's why we need you. That's why we will even train you. I don't have to be educating, contributing members of this community. But I can tell I have my work cut out for me. So I'm going to have to try this again. By a show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're a cash buyer. Oh, fantastic. Love talking to a room full of cash buyers. And you know, the people that figure this out get there first. Some people ready, aim, right? The people that get there, ready, fire, aim, right? You just make an offer. You don't have to have 5 cents to your name to make an offer. You can terminate or sell it to somebody that has money. You can renegotiate. There's so many options when you have offers. If you make no offers, you have no options. If you make any offers, you have multiple options. Make yourself have options, right? That's just making offers. You don't have to have a penny to do that, right? This scales to an infinite degree, right? When I want to be a real estate investor, I wanted to make money. To make a lot of money, you need to do a lot of deals. You need to do it in a scalable way, right? So you need to know the things. Whether you have money or not, you don't have enough. Nobody has enough. Elon Musk does not have enough money. You got $500,000 in your checking account? Great, good for you. Go buy a house. Now you're done. Yep, that was it. Can't buy another house till you sell that house. That doesn't scale. You have to be prepared to buy any property anytime at any price. The deal of a lifetime, the life-changing deal of a lifetime, it could fall on your plate tomorrow, right? So you got to use other people's money, and you got to know how to do it with no money, right? If you know how to do it with other people's money, you know how to do it with no money. How many deals can you do? All of them. Exactly the right answer. All of them, right? So yeah, and the network, right, instantly puts people with deals in connection with people with money. Instantly puts people with money in connection with people with off-market wholesale deals. So welcome again to the wholesale marketplace. All right, one more strategy and then we'll wrap this up. Buying properties subject to the mortgage. This is buying and owning real estate even with no money and with no credit. I am a nationally recognized expert at teaching this strategy. I might possibly be the national expert, but I'm certainly a widely recognized expert who has successfully taught tens of thousands of people how to do this, and now I'm going to teach you how to do this. What does this mean? How does this work? How does real estate work? When somebody buys a house, how does that work? They go to a title company and they sign a stack of documents. Most of the documents are disclaimers and disclosures, but there's 2 documents that get signed at the closing that make the closing happen. The 2 documents that make the transaction happen are the deed and the note. The deed and the note. Notice these are completely separate documents. Whosever name goes on the deed, that's who owns the house. Whosever name goes on the note, that's who's responsible for the mortgage. So there's a deed, there's a note. Now, normally, the same guy is on both. The guy buys a house, his name is on the deed, his name is on the note, he owns the house, and he's responsible for the mortgage. That's normal. He moves into the house, and it's his house. And all the rights and privileges and responsibilities and benefits of home ownership, they go to him. It's his house. At the end of the month, he gets a statement from the bank, says you owe us $1,000 for your mortgage. He writes the bank a check for $1,000. The bank gets the check, they cash the check. Bank's happy, he's happy, everybody's happy. That's how it works. And then the guy goes on to get married. And Texas is a community property state. So when the guy gets married, the wife is added to the deed. Now there's 2 names on the deed. You look in the tax records, there's 2 names, his and hers. But his name is still the only name on the note. Just because somebody's taken on or off the deed, that does not affect the note. And then time goes on, and things don't work out, and they get a divorce. And in their situation, the wife gets the house in the divorce. So now something kind of interesting has happened. Now her name is the only name left on the deed, but his name is still the only name on the note. So the question is, as long as he keeps sending a check every month to the bank, or she starts sending a check every month to the bank, or a tenant or a property manager, a neighbor, investor, friend, or family member, or somebody sends the bank a check every month, the question is, does the bank actually care who wrote the check? No. There's some dude sitting at the bank getting paid $8.92 an hour to open an envelope. He's like, oh, we got a check for the right amount. It came on time and it cleared. We're good. So if you're listening to my story so far, I just told you all a story about a woman, about a spouse, about a person that was able to acquire real estate even with no money and no credit. There it is, an example of acquiring real estate with no money and no credit. All right, so here's a really, really good part. You can all do exactly the same thing, and you don't have to get married to do it. Because here's the thing, guys. Anybody, any of you, anybody, no matter how old you are, anybody can go up to any homeowner that has any loan, right, any mortgage from any lender on any house at any time, and you can make them an offer. And the offer any of you can make with any homeowner that has any loan from any lender on any house at any time is this. Here's the offer. I will make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward. Or I will find somebody to make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward. What's the catch? You simply have to transfer the deed, which is ownership of the property to me. It is called buying a property subject to the existing mortgage. You do this with any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage from any lender in any house at any time. And the only person on this planet that has to agree to this transaction is the person whose name is on the deed, not the bank. The bank has no say in this transaction. There are federal laws that regulate this transaction. Anybody can transfer their deed to anybody. Anybody can pay somebody else's mortgage if they want to. So if you're listening to me closely, here's what you just heard me say. You can buy any house in Texas from any homeowner in Texas that has any loan from any lender, and you can buy that person's house at any time, and you can buy and own that person's house even with no money and even with no credit by simply offering to take over the payment on their mortgage, or even offering to find somebody else to take over the payment on their mortgage in exchange for them simply transferring the deed, handing the deed, which is ownership of the property, to you. And once you learn how to buy houses with no money and with no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them. It is a very scalable process. When somebody's in financial distress, they got a house, they got a mortgage. Is the house the problem, or is the mortgage the problem? Owning a house is never a problem. Being responsible for a mortgage, that can be a big problem when you're in financial distress. If you solve the big problem by taking over the payment or finding somebody to take over the payment in exchange for solving the big problem, right? You agree to pay the seller's mortgage going forward. In exchange for solving the problem, they transfer the deed, which is ownership of the property, to you. Now, once somebody transfers their deed to you, you own it. You can do whatever you want. You can renovate it and retail sell it to somebody else. You can wrap it, you can assign it, you can keep it as a rental property, you can keep it as your own homestead if you want. I've helped many of my friends buy their very own homestead with this little or no money, no credit needed strategy. How much money can you make? Well, there's a lot of ways to make a lot of money when you're buying houses with no money and no credit. Small flip, at least $10,000, usually more. And this is another little or no money, little or no risk strategy. Let me walk you through an example. This is one of the $30 million worth of houses that I own in Texas. Now, if I wanted to buy $30 million worth of houses traditionally, think about it. I'd have to put 20% down every time I bought a house. In other words, I'd have to be a multi-millionaire just to become a millionaire. Well, I wasn't a millionaire when I started investing in real estate. So how was I able to acquire $30 million worth of houses? Well, I had to learn another way to do it, which was buying properties subject to. And that's how I bought this property and most of my properties. So let me tell you about this one. A woman owned a house worth $150,000. She owed $110,000 on the mortgage. So this house has $40,000 in equity. She had the house rented out for $1,600 a month rent. The mortgage payment, including tax and insurance, is $1,100 a month. So this house is generating $500 a month of gross cash flow. Should have, could have, and it would have been a perfect rental property, except for one major problem. This woman had lost her job. She was continuing to collect the rent because she was living off of the rent, but she stopped paying the mortgage. 4 days before the first Tuesday of the month, when the bank was going to foreclose on her, I knocked on her door. Can I help you? I am here to help you. But what can you do? There's no time. They're going to foreclose on me. How can you help? They're going to foreclose on me. There's no time. What can you do? How can you help? Here's what I can do. I can stop your foreclosure. I can reinstate your loan. I can catch up your mortgage payments. I can make your mortgage payments for you going forward. I can even repair your credit. Well, that's amazing. What's the catch? You simply have to hand the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. And she said, deal. Why did she say deal? Because in 4 days, she's losing the house. That was a done deal. But she wasn't just going to lose the house. Along with losing the house, she was going to get a little bonus to go along with it. What do you call that bonus? That's called a foreclosure. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I told her. You may think a foreclosure is the end of your problem. It's not. It's the beginning of a 10-year nightmare. that starts with the sheriff and his deputies dragging you and your family and all of your possessions to the curb in front of your friends and neighbors. It's 10 years of dealing with the IRS, potentially garnishing your wages to collect on a 1099 that could be issued against you for up to the full value of the loan. It's 10 years of dealing with the lender, potentially filing a lawsuit against you for up to the full value of the home. It's 10 years of dealing with creditors calling you, hounding you day and night to collect on the judgment from the lawsuit. It's 10 years of not being able to buy another home, not being able to buy a car, not being able to get a credit card, not being able to open certain bank accounts or even rent certain apartments or even get certain jobs. In other words, it's a bullet to the head. And nobody wants all that. And I stopped all of that from happening to her. And she was thrilled. She even said, thank you. And the bank was thrilled because they didn't want the house back. They just wanted their money, so I gave them their money. And the tenants were thrilled because they didn't want to get kicked out of the house. They just wanted to keep renting the house. So they kept renting it from me. But mostly I was thrilled because for $4,500, which is what it cost me to reinstate that loan, I now own this beautiful $150,000 house. It came with a loan, came with $40,000 of equity, all mine, came with tenants paying me $1,600 a month rent. After I pay the bank $1,100, I put $500 back in my pocket. And if you think that's cool, my wife and I own $30 million worth of these properties. Some of them took small amounts of money like this. Most of them honestly took more money than this, but then some of them took absolutely no money at all. So how many of you would like me to walk you step by step by step through how to do this deal? All right? We're all out of time. I'm sorry, we're almost out of time, but I will finish. Okay, so I do love this deal. But I'll bet you don't know why I love it so much. Some of you are like, oh, you're making $500 a month. Yeah, that's not it. $500 is not going to affect my life or my lifestyle at all. What I love about this is by doing this over and over and over again, over the last 20 years, my wife and I were able to accumulate a portfolio that's now worth $30 million. In fact, just over the last 3 years, that portfolio went up in value by more than 30%. In other words, just over the last 3 years, my wife and I became more than $10 million richer from having done this thing over and over again. This thing that required little or no money and no credit. That's what I love about this. This is the strategy that allows anybody, right, regardless of money or credit, to become multi-millionaires. A bunch of you said, oh, I have a house for the last 3 years. You're a lot richer than you were before. What if you had 5? What if you had 10? What if you had 200? You can't go back. Going forward, you can do anything you want. Remember I just told you earlier there's this new loan product, 3% mortgage on a rental property. No money down, no credit needed. Who would like one of those mortgages? You're looking at it. Just find somebody that got a 3% mortgage that's now in financial trouble and just offer to take over the payments. You just got a house with no money down and no credit. How many of those can you buy? All of them. 20 years from now, how many do you wish you bought? All of them. All of them. So yeah, that's why I love this deal. And once I realized the wealth potential of this strategy, I did actually add one more thing to this strategy. I'll tell you my last trick. I no longer buy these houses in my name. In fact, I no longer buy these houses in my company's name. Now when I buy these houses, I prefer to buy them in my IRA. How many of you are aware that you could do this transaction with your IRA? All right, well, for the rest of you, you know you can do this transaction with your IRA. Come to the workshop, we'll set it up for you. So what happens when my IRA does this transaction? Well, my IRA issues the $4,500 reinstatement fee to the bank. The deed then transfers to my IRA. Every month, the property manager deposits $1,600 of rent into the IRA. Every month, the IRA issues a check to the bank for $1,100, and $500 rolls back into the IRA. But that's not the good part. So then what's the good part? Over the next 25 years, this property will double in value, and it'll double again. And even at very conservative appreciation rates, it'll almost double a third time. Something interesting happens to the loan on this property over the next 25 years. What happens to the loan? It gets paid off by the tenants. Thank you very much, tenants. 3 of my mortgages I got notified this year. Paid off, paid off, paid off. Oh my gosh, thank you, tenants. So in other words, every time my IRA does this deal, my IRA ultimately ends up owning an asset worth about $1 million that by then I own free and clear. And because my IRA is also a Roth IRA, when I sell this asset in retirement, 100% of the proceeds are tax-free. Did y'all just see what I did? I just showed you how to turn a $4,500 IRA into $1 million tax-free doing one deal one time. Helping a woman out of a horrible situation. Helping a bank not take a property back they don't want back. Helping tenants stay in a property they wanted to stay in. All that just doing it once. The average retired person at the age of 65 has a net worth of $62,000. It's pathetic. If you just did this one deal one time, you would be 25 times richer than the average retired person, just doing it once. But I'll tell you something else I've observed. 95% of the people will never do it once, and never do it even once. And 100%, nobody will ever do it once, because 100% of the people that do it once, then what do? Then they do it again, and then what do? And then they do it again, and then what do? And then they do it again and again and again. And 20 years later, they're standing behind a podium at a Marriott talking about all the times they did it. All right, one last time. How many of you would like me to walk you step by step by step through how to do this deal? Okay, I'm going to walk you step by step how to find the property, how to get it under contract, exactly what contract to use, which attorney and title company to close it at. I'm going to walk you step by step through all the operational steps to do this. So I'm going to walk you through all of that. But it'll take about 3 days, so we're going to have to finish at the workshop. There we go. And as cool as that is, and you got to admit that's pretty cool, that's not my favorite strategy. My favorite strategy is renovating houses for free and getting paid a fortune. I'm going to teach you all 12 strategies. I'm going to teach you all 65 marketing. I taught you your first close. That was your first close. That was literally called the atomic bomb close. And those are literally how I explained the situation to the woman. She literally handed me her deed. She gave me the keys. She said, thank you. That's what I call magic words. Say the right words to the right person at the right time. Thank you. She literally just gave me that house. How to partner with experts, learn how to find them deals. You partner, you don't have to, but it's a great way to get started. How to access private money. Private money is faster, better, cheaper. So that is the workshop. So teach you some logistical details. We got it in Dallas, Houston, Austin. You can come to any of the locations. It's the same workshop, just in different places. Please become a member of the REIA. And as a member of the REIA, you're supporting this organization. You get wonderful benefits in the reason, like access to all the other members. You get preferred seating at the workshop with some special lunch sessions and power team masterminds with myself and my team. As far as the logistics, we're in these dates and locations, so figure out what date works for you. Let's do a quick survey of the audience. How many of you are going to be coming to the workshop live? Who's going to come live? Okay. Who is going to come online? Why are you coming online? He doesn't want mom. Is that what this is? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Holy cow, I've heard a lot. I've never heard that before. Aren't you embarrassed right now? A little bit. Mom, just sit in the back, you know. It's like, all right, that's cool. How come you're coming online? What's that?
I live in North Cal, so California.
All right, well, you know.
I'll be there.
Okay, but you can take a flight. But yeah, okay. I mean, you can do it. You can even go back and forth. I will say we will have tables, so we're not going to be crammed in like we are here. And pick the location. It's the same event, just 3 different locations. Sometimes people actually like to go to another city to do this. That's another thing you can do, or maybe you have family or friends that want to do this with you in another city. Fill out the form for you guys online. Click on the link, and there's a form online you can fill out online. Please become a member of the REIA. It is important that you support this organization because we are the only ones that lobby on behalf of real estate investors. You also get this really cool poster along with all the other benefits for being a member of the REIA, and it's only $100. So that is that. couple of other little quick housekeeping things. If you haven't filled out your form, fill out the form because we're going to collect them shortly. But we do post all of our presentations online. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. If you want to get copies of any of this, feel free to do that there. The workshop logistics itself, I'm teaching the whole thing. So you're going to hear me tell about 100 stories, and I'm the Energizer Bunny. So I'm going to get started in the morning at like about 8:45. We're going to go 24 hours over 3 days. We're going to go late Friday, late Saturday, early Sunday. How late? Kind of depends. I don't know. It really kind of depends on questions and everything we're doing. I'm going to guess we're going to go 7:30 Friday, Saturday, and then early on Sunday. So if you got kids or pets or something, make sure you got somebody to take care of them. Bring a notebook. You're going to fill an entire notebook with notes. So bring a notebook and be prepared to fill an entire notebook with notes. Be engaged. Ask questions. I tell everybody I'm not here to entertain you. I'm literally here to change your life. If you're looking for just entertainment, this will be very entertaining, but if you're only looking for entertainment, I suggest you don't come to the workshop. Instead, you should watch a Netflix marathon. You can polish off 5 seasons of an Emmy award-winning show. But if you really want to change your trajectory through this life, come to the workshop, bring a notebook, ask questions. I'm going to take you through several exercises. All of you are different. Some of you have more time, some of you have more money, some of you want to be active, some of you want to be passive. Those 4 different quadrants are all different. So I'm going to take you through several exercises to build a plan unique to you. And that'll take 3 days. If you are coming online, turn on your camera, ask questions, be engaged. I'm not looking for people that are not really paying attention. If you're not going to pay attention, then just do something else. And that is it. Some quick questions. Also take some questions from the audience. How much experience do I need? 75% of the people that come are newbies. About 25% are experienced investors, but they're coming to learn some of the advanced stuff that only we teach. Can I bring a significant other? Drag them by force. Okay, there's my advice. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen if you don't bring your significant other. Even if they're not interested, I will make them interested. I can't tell you how many disinterested spouses came to my workshop. They became the one that picked up the ball and ran with it. But even if they're not interested in real estate, they're going to understand it better and they're going to be more supportive. Because what's going to happen if you don't bring your significant other, I'm going to teach you how to do this. You're going to go out, you're going to find a property, you're going to go home and you say, honey, guess what? We're buying a house. And how do you think that's going to go over? Trust me, bring them by force if necessary. How do I know this is the real deal? My advice, don't ask me. Ask somebody that's done it. So I do something kind of interesting. I invite everybody that I teach to give me feedback. Handwritten feedback. You can't fake handwritten feedback on a form. And we scan all of the feedback forms and we post them on the internet for the whole world to look at. And if you would like to see thousands of feedback forms, go to that link. Now, why would I post every single feedback form that anybody's ever given me on the internet for the whole world to see? Go look for yourself, and I'm going to tell you what you're going to see. 99 out of 100 are exactly the same. Oh my God, this was literally a life-changing experience. And if you don't believe me, go look for yourself, because you can't fake hand-signed, handwritten feedback forms. Where do I get my tickets? Fill out the form. We're going to collect the form. We're going to give you the receipt, the back of it. And we're going to give you a little packet with tickets and details. We're also going to send them to you and text them to you. So make sure your email and your phone number is legible. If you want more help, join the REIA. That's where you can interact with me online and all of the other members of this wonderful organization. That's basically it. So fill out the form for you guys online. Fill out the form online. Pick your location, and we'll see you there. And I don't think I need to explain that again. But and join the REIA. Everybody should join the REIA for all the wonderful benefits. And with that, I'll tell you what, I'm going to stop our broadcast, but I will take a few minutes to answer any questions here in the room. So let me stop the broadcast. Guys online, thank you. See you at the workshop. And